Good evening and welcome. The video of this meeting is streamed on YouTube and will also be available on Facebook and the village's website. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask Clerk Saladino to call roll.
Trustee Augustine.
Here.
Trustee Gale.
Here.
Trustee McGee. Trustee O'Brien.
Here.
Trustee Peterson.
Here.
Trustee Thompson.
Here.
President Kukler.
Here. And Trustee McGee contacted me and said that she had a family matter she needed to attend and was unable to make it tonight. I would ask Clerk Saladino to invite everybody to stand and to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving right into the President's report. Sunday was a beautiful spring day. Today was a beautiful spring day. And so I want to take an opportunity to remind everybody that the children will be out running and bike riding and doing other outdoor activities. So please drive carefully. And children that are riding bikes, please at night, make sure you're wearing your helmet and wear your helmet all the time. And at night, make sure that it's illuminated. With a light, it's really hard for drivers to see if there's no lights on the bikes. Saturday, the village conducted a budget workshop regarding the village's operating and capital improvements for the year 2025-2026. There was a good discussion regarding various aspects of the budget as it calls for investment in the village infrastructure and ways that the village provides services to the community. The budget includes funds for maintaining and improving our sewer system, including sewer reconstruction and lining projects, televising, and support for the 50th Street Storm Sewer Project. As always, our staff did an excellent job of presenting a budget that was thoughtful, strategic, and positioned to best support LaGrange residents in a manner that best uses our tax dollars. I'd like to extend my gratitude to staff for their very hard work in crafting the budget and for the village board for sharing their thoughts and perspectives as well as their Saturday. The budget for proposed 25-26 is available for review at the Village Hall, the LaGrange Public Library, and on the village website for those that may want to review it. A public hearing regarding the proposed 25-26 budget is scheduled for Monday, March 24th. That's the next meeting in 2 weeks from today. That'll be just a discussion and allowing the public to share their views, opinions, thoughts, ask questions, with consideration of the approval of the budget scheduled for April 14th. So again, it gives plenty of time for residents to give their input. And I do want to thank the residents that came out on Saturday and that have shared their thoughts and suggestions. LaGrange Restaurant Week concluded yesterday. This annual event is a great opportunity to visit and enjoy some of the best that LaGrange has to offer. Throughout the event, great culinary offerings were made available at approachable price points. Thank you for the LGBA for coordinating this event that draws attention to the many great restaurants that call LaGrange their home. Thank you for the residents and our visitors that came and dined. We appreciate it. It was bustling. Spring break. LaGrange schools will have spring break over the course of the next few weeks. The board wishes parents and school children an enjoyable and restful break. And again, the kids will be out running, riding, and other activities. So please be aware and alert. The next village board meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 24th. I'll be unable to attend, but I'm confident to leave administration of the meeting in very capable hands. And with that, Manager Knight, please provide the manager's report.
Will do. Thank you, President Kukler, and good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to echo your comments regarding the budget workshop held on Saturday. Appreciate the board sharing their perspective and their guidance in crafting next year's budget. I'd also like to thank Director Micah, our village's management team, and many other village staff members that diligently work to compose a budget that continues the village's reputation for providing excellent services to the community. So thank you all for that. In the coming weeks, staff will be working to finalize the document in preparation for that public hearing that we just heard about on March 24th. Lastly, the village recently announced an exciting new improvement to the annual process of issuing vehicle stickers and pet tags. In an effort to make the process more convenient and more efficiently process the village stickers and animal registrations, the village is now offering a quick and easy way to purchase them online. Under the program, there will be no more physical vehicle stickers, which will instead be replaced with a virtual sticker. Vehicle registrations can now be completed online by submitting the requested information along with payment by April 30th. Thank you to Director Micah for leading this enhancement to our village services and working to make that process more efficient. President Kukler, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Village Manager Knight. Clerk Saladino, I'd request that you read the items on the consent agenda followed by those items appearing under current business.
Matters on the consent agenda will be considered by a single motion and vote because they already have been considered fully by the board at a previous meeting or been determined to be of a routine nature. Any member of the Board of Trustees may request that an item be moved from the consent agenda to current business for separate consideration. Item A, minutes of the village board meeting held on February 10th, 2025. And item B, March 10th, 2025 consolidated voucher. Current business. This agenda item includes consideration of matters being presented to the Board of Trustees for action. Item A, an ordinance approving a zoning code text amendment regarding placement of solar panels. And item B, an ordinance amending the Grange Code of Ordinances regarding special events.
Thank you, Clerk Saladino. The next item on tonight's agenda is public comments regarding agenda items. Seeing none, we'll proceed to the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
I move for approval of consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Gale and Trustee Thompson. Any discussion?
Thank you, President Kukler. As previously stated, I recuse myself from voting on any of the agenda items related to the village prosecutor.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments, I would ask for a roll call vote.
Trustee Peterson.
Aye.
Trustee O'Brien.
Aye.
Trustee Augustine.
Aye.
Trustee Thompson.
Aye.
Trustee Gale.
Aye.
And that passes. Moving on to current business, under item A is an ordinance approving a zoning code of text amendment regarding placement of solar panels. And I would ask Trustee Thompson to provide an overview of this item.
Thank you, President Kugler. On the board tonight is an ordinance approving a zoning code text amendment regarding the placement of solar panels. Back on November of 2024, the Zoning Board of Appeal heard two cases relating to solar panels. Both cases involved a request for relief from Section 9-101C-12, paragraph C, of the code relating to allowable location for the installation of roof-mounted solar panels. Section 9-101C-12C specifies that roof-mounted solar panels on a single-family home cannot face the front lot line or be within 60 degrees of the front line. The ZBA found that while one application met the standards for the variation, the other did not, they felt both applicants made a compelling case to reevaluate the current code requirements relative to solar installation. In December, the village board reviewed the various variation applications and approved both requests, and we were very happy to get that approved for those residents. And directed staff to prepare draft code amendments for the plan, commission's consideration that would reduce or eliminate limitations on the placement of the roof-mounted solar panels on single-family homes. Staff research solar requirements of the neighboring communities and nearby communities that participate in Soul Smart program, like LaGrange. Most of the community codes allowed solar panels to be placed on any elevation of the home, including those visible from the public right-of-way. Riverside was the only other nearby community that restricts solar panels from being visible from the public right-of-way. Based on the board's direction and the analysis of other community requirements, staff prepared zoning code amendments to remove the current prohibition against placing solar panels or facing within 60 degrees of the front lot line. Staff also proposed adding a limitation that panels cannot extend beyond the eave or the ridge of the roof line to which they are mounted. The Planning Commission considered the proposal amendments on February 10th, 2025, and voted 4-0 to recommend approval. I think this is a great proposal, and I also would like to propose and have this motion passed by the board.
Thank you, Trustee Thompson. I'm looking for a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Gale. Any questions, comments regarding this? Trustee Peterson.
Yes, I was at the ZBA where those solar panel presentations were made, and I just want to say that I was very impressed by the commitment that the two homeowners presented to the ZBA at the time, and I was in full support, and so I will be voting in favor of this.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments, I would ask for a roll call vote.
Trustee O'Brien.
Aye.
Trustee Augustine.
Aye.
Trustee Peterson.
Aye.
Trustee Gale.
Aye.
Trustee Thompson.
Aye.
And that passes. Moving on. We'll always take clapping. It's always allowed. Moving on to item B, an ordinance amending the LaGrange Code of Ordinances regarding special events. And I'd invite Trustee Gale to provide an overview of this item.
Thank you, Mr. President. Always happy to talk about special events. In 2023, the Community and Economic Development Commission began a discussion of LaGrange special events. Over the course of the following year, the CEDC reviewed the various types of events occurring in LaGrange and neighboring communities, the village's current protocols for regulation of various aspects of special events, and analyzed how LaGrange's codes, policies, and practices compared to peer downtown communities in the region. Because various aspects of special events are regulated by disparate code provisions, communities frequently adopt comprehensive special event policies to streamline administration and improve customer service for event organizers. These policies consolidate code information into one accessible place and provide detailed administrative guidance on process for the event approvals. Working closely with a consultant and staff, the CEDC developed a new special event policy to replace current policy that did not provide sufficient detailed guidance for event organizers and did not consistently reflect current village practices. The CEDC recommended the new special event policy on August 21st, 2024. Since that time, staff has developed the necessary draft code amendments, communications, and permit processes to effectuate the proposed policy. Code amendments include revisions to the liquor code, to the zoning code, fireworks provisions, and a fee schedule. On February 11th, the Plan Commission recommended approval of the proposed text amendments to the zoning code. On February 24th, the Liquor Commission recommended approval of the proposed text amendments to the liquor code. Special events permits will be processed through the village's licensing and permitting software, which will help facilitate efficient processing of event requests and benefit staff and event organizers. So the budgetary impacts of this will involve updated fees included in the proposed ordinance to offset a portion of the staff expense in processing special event applications. And then staff recommends approval of the ordinance amending the LaGrange Code of Ordinances regarding special events. And I move for approval of the amendments to the LaGrange Code of Ordinances regarding special events.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Gale. Trustee Augustine. Any discussion regarding item B? Trustee Gale.
The only point I wanted to make was just thank staff. It was, and I assume, Deputy Manager Jones and Manager Knight and all the work that went into trying to coordinate all these different pieces, just trying to read through it in the packet. It's quite an endeavor to get all the I's dotted and T's crossed. So I wanted to commend staff on trying to aggregate that all together. So
Thank you, Trustee Gale. Any other comments? Trustee Augustine.
Thank you, President Kugler. Just kind of along the same lines, I think this is going to be a great thing for both the businesses and staff. I would imagine that the amount of special events we've done, even just in the last 5 years, from the smaller events, not the large ones maybe that the LGBA puts on, but had to have quadrupled for you guys, it seems, in the last few years. Do you see, just out of pure curiosity, is this the kind of project that halves the workload? Is it even more efficient than that for you guys? Just kind of talk about the speed and throughput and how much less it requires of you.
Yeah, I think what it really does is allow all of the people who are involved in the process now, from the event organizers to all of the staff. Generally, these events require review and involvement from every department in the village. And so it really provides that opportunity for all of us to participate in that process in a much more efficient way, probably cutting down the processing time in half, which is really of benefit to the people who are organizing the special events and anxiously awaiting that feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Thompson.
Aye.
Trustee Peterson.
Aye.
Trustee O'Brien.
Aye.
Trustee Augustine.
Aye.
Trustee Gale.
Aye.
And that passes, and we have finished the current business that we had tonight. So public comments regarding matters not on tonight's agenda. If you have any, please come to the podium.
My name is John Pluto. I live at 718 East Avenue. I have a few things for you. And Mark, in particular, I want to bring them to your attention. So don't put your head down and not look at me. Okay. Your job as president of this town is to make it as safe as possible. Okay. Last week, I sent you an email. I sent Jack Knight an email. It also had a picture of the sign shop that is at Public Works. And there was a multitude of signs and racks and stop signs and speed limit signs. And I spoke with you before about over by Sedgwick Park at the beginning of 49th Street at East Avenue, there is no speed limit sign there. And there could be one put conveniently on the do not enter sign of the parking lot that goes on East Avenue. Now, this sign isn't something that you would have to purchase because I believe you have it in your stock, or I could FOIA your information to see how many signs you got there and what variety you got. And we talked about the speed limit maybe being 20 because it's a park and 2 blocks up there's a school. But at this point, any denomination that you would like to put on that street, I would love, okay? And it's not about me because I walk down and I make sure that nobody's gonna get me, okay? But we have a lot of kids that ride their bikes to the park and they're running to the trunks of their cars for baseball equipment. And I think we need people to be aware there is a speed limit on that sign, on that street, because they drive like there's no speed limit. So that's my first point. The other object is the automatic traffic enforcement that I just gave all you people a handout on from the state. And I pulled it off on my phone today, so it's concurrent. And with that construction zone, they could put a speed camera there to slow the traffic down, because the 20 houses that are affected on East Avenue from 49th to 51st, those gravel trucks start rolling there about 55 miles an hour. Now, you try to pull out of your driveway. I would like you people to come and just use my driveway for a day and see what you think, okay? We need to get, if it's just gonna be there for the length of the project for another 1.5 years, that's great. It's gonna slow those truck drivers down. And then, or the other option is that you have to put a police car there all day, you know, and we know that's not happening. So let's come to some agreement that we need to slow the traffic down there. It's 30 miles an hour in the construction zone, and right at my house, it's 40. So, but nobody does 40. So we've got that. The other item that I have is this once again. This is old business that I like to get taken care of. It's the acreage of the North Basin, and we're 13 acres off. And nobody wants to fess up who's right and who's wrong. We have 3 engineering firms that 2 of them used the same number and 1 used a different number. Well, the new number, I want to know 13 acres, which way is it? Bigger or smaller? 13 acres is 300,000 gallons of water for 1 inch of rain. We're planning a storm sewer project here, and we're working with inaccurate numbers someplace. Either we've been doing it for the last 30 years when Mr. Hewer started, or Mr. Burke found a mistake. I don't know. Let's find out. Let's get verification from our engineering firms. You want to work on the water tank, or you want to do that next week?
I won't be here in 2 weeks, so feel free to continue everything for 2 weeks.
I don't have all my information because we still don't know if the repairs were done on the tank back in 2013. So when I am fully prepared for you, I'm going to bring it with me.
I'm sure you will. You're always welcome back. Thank you.
Well, I hope I can see a speed limit sign over there by that park entrance. I really do. Because think about it, if somebody gets hurt, could the village be negligent in that?
Well, you know, my hope is that we end traffic going down East Avenue. So
Well, that's here nor there. There's still kids in the summertime. That's a vibrant place, that ballpark. And there should be a speed limit sign there. If I go down to 50th Street, there's a sign right at the beginning of 50th Street that says 25 miles an hour. And I think that there should be a speed limit sign there. It's the park.
thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no further public, we may have somebody.
Thank you. Hello to the village board. My name is Danny Brock. I live at 701 South Wyola. Hi, Peggy, my neighbor. So this is not really a complaint, or it's more of just a concern and just generally interested in where the Board of Trustees kind of sees the matter as it relates to just the conditions of the roads that seem to be rapidly deteriorating. Primarily what I'm noticing, just as I drive around the village, it's primarily what I notice is south of 47th. I did look online on the village website, and I noticed that there was a report that was commissioned originally by the board back in 2011. I think it's by a firm called Baxter and Woodman. And then that was renewed in 2016, and then most recently in 2021. But from an initial conversation I had with, I believe his name is Russell, he said there was information online about what plans there are to repave roads, but nothing was to be done this year outside of $200,000 that have been set aside for general road maintenance, patching, et cetera. I just don't know if that, I mean, maybe there's a larger plan, and if there is, I'd love to, if there's any literature information that you guys can share. But if there's not, I would just implore on the board that I think that we're to a spot where we're gonna have to put a plan together, because if you look at the 2016 to 2021 Pazer review that this was commissioned, there was a huge drop off in 5 years. And we've almost gone another 5 without anything being repaved other than Kensington, north of 47th. And so I guess I'll just ask, are there other plans that we're not aware of, or is there general agreement and that this is an issue that needs to be addressed? And if so, what might we do as a community?
Yeah, so first of all, Russell Davenport, who you spoke with, is our acting director of public works.
Nice to meet
So let me introduce you to them to start. Secondly, this time is always the time that the roads are the worst because the potholes come as the freeze thaw. And so it's the worst time that we have for probably a couple more weeks. We are doing not just filling potholes. We're trying to do bigger patching that seems to be effective. And you're right in that we have the plan, and we came and graded the roads to deal the roads that were, and they were coded and color coded, and I think alphabetical order. And whichever ones were the worst were the priority. And so there is that plan. We're now putting together, in the very near future, a capital plan that's going to include the roads as well as the water lines, lead service lines, and sewers. So as part of that capital plan, we'll be talking about which roads, again, are going to be fixed in what priority.
Is this just within the normal budgetary constraints that we have to work with every year? I mean, I guess I'm just interested if there's agreement that this is a problem that's gone from bad to worse, and is the status quo or business as usual going to be the right recipe here? Fix this.
Yeah, I guess I'm not aware. We'll have to wait till we get a street study to see, which streets have gone from bad to worse. I'm sure there are some that, were now going to be the priority, right? The ones that got repaired are great, but there's some that are worse because they're the next in line. So I'm sure there are some that have gone from bad to worse that will get repaired.
But there's no plans this year to repave anything in full.
There's
as far as I'm aware.
As far as I know, there's no plan to, and again, like we did on Brainerd and some of the other roads where we go down to and do the water and all of that. We're trying to get all that done. I don't believe there's any large scale we're going to pave this street. But I'll let Russell correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure, you're right about that. We got a street condition survey that I was telling you about that you go online and take a look at.
I got it
So
right here. Yep.
what we do is we just identify the worst streets scenario.
Has it been updated since 2021?
Yeah, we're going through the whole town looking at them right now.
Okay. Is that literature? Is that online anywhere that
The street condition survey is online right now. And from what President Kluger was talking about, I had mentioned to you we were going to do patchwork.
Yeah.
This summer, I was going to come by and just show you some of the work that we've done until we can get the streets resurfaced.
There's patchwork that's been done, and it, in some cases, makes it worse. Like if you look at the 600 block of Wyola, just north of where Peggy and I live, you could argue it made it serviceable, but it's actually making it worse in other areas. I don't think status quo is going to get us out of this situation, and I would encourage anybody who doesn't live south of 47th to just drive. You don't have to drive more than a block or two to see a road that's in major disrepair. And I guess I'm just not understanding what the plan is to address it, because we're not doing anything other than patching. And the survey that you mentioned is not, at least maybe I'm missing it, but there's no literature online that's out that has road conditions that were updated. If we're talking about the same survey that was done by Baxter and Woodman that was updated since 2021. Now, it may have been done, but it's just not out there available to the public.
So I get some more information for you on the road surface conditioning. I get some more information, but every year we go through the town, we do patchwork. I know that's probably not what you want to hear right now, but we are working on to try to develop the whole roadway. But as President Kukler said, we got water services to take care of. There's underground. We have, you got to take in consideration curb work. You got to do that before you fix the street. So it's a lot of scenarios you got to go through before you pave the whole street. Yeah. So we're working at it, and we've been working at it every year.
And apologies, but hearing we're working at it, that would have been the answer if I came in here any of the last 10 years I've lived in LaGrange, right? But it's getting worse. So we're working at it isn't cutting it, because the road conditions are actually getting noticeably worse. It's beyond embarrassing. It's almost unsafe. So it feels like we're at a point where we actually need to have a very targeted plan about how we address this as a community if it were up to me. But I understand there's a lot of decisions that have to be made. I don't envy that position. There's not an infinite amount of money to go around. And I totally appreciate that. But
Right.
At the same time, I just don't understand. We're working at it, and I know you're doing your job, and I applaud you for that. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying that hasn't got us in any better situation in the last 10 years that I've lived here, and nothing's been repaved south of 47th in the 10 years I've lived here, at least between Brainerd and LaGrange Road.
Right. So we're working all over town. So we are working towards south of 47th. It's a lot to take in consideration when you're paving streets. We just don't want to go over there and pave them. Then we got to go over there and put, copper water services in. You got to take all that in consideration when you're going throughout the whole town.
Well, if you don't mind sharing with me
Yep.
the survey that's been most recently done, I'd love to see it.
I can get with you tomorrow.
All right.
No problem. I'll get some information for you, and we'll take a look at it together.
You want to jump in my car? I'd love to show you some streets around my neighborhood.
No, I did. I tried
call
called you and tried to come by your house, and we was going to meet, and I was going to show you. And that's fine. I can do that too. Either way you want to do it, you can come by the office, or I can come by you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Brock. And it is important that you and other residents, share your concerns and opinions, and we definitely hear you. And we drive on the same streets, and we do know. So we appreciate you coming up.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments, I would ask if there's any trustee comments. Trustee Peterson.
Yes, I want to thank Director Micah, and I want to thank all the department heads for their work towards the budget. It was very comprehensive. It was, can't say that I had a whole lot of fun going through it, but it was very well done. And I specifically want to say to the department heads, the ability and the work that you do to find grants is outstanding. It is outstanding. And for that, I'm sure I speak for the entire board when I say thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Peterson. Any other trustee comments? Trustee Thompson.
Thank you, President Kukla. And really, this is the two citizens here, resident Pluto and resident Brock. John, so working for a road construction company, I appreciate your comments on the speed cameras. I think they're great ideas. I did ask Ben Schuster to look that up because working for that, we've never been able to put one in under Illinois law. And the full thing that they didn't tell you is that speed enforcement by IDOT and the ISP is allowed when workers are present.
Okay, as long as
Right. You can put the sign up. We can request that. I think that's a high star work zone that we could have them put up the sign that said speed cameras. Just know there will not be any speed cameras because there's no workers that work on East Avenue much except at that intersection.
as long as one person good with me.
Right, but that doesn't mean there'll be a camera because most road construction companies don't have those cameras. So it's just because it's not used much because it's only when workers are present. But we can work with IDOT to see if that's possible, but don't plan on it happening anytime soon. But we will. I think it's a good idea that we reach out and try. The comment on the streets, I live on 47th, the corner of Spring and 47th. I walk past Peggy's house every morning. I see the condition of Stone and Whale south of 47th. I think the one thing we didn't really tie into this, so the lead line service replacement program was changed from being completed by 2040 to 2035 by President Biden 6 months ago. To do that, we have to, just like that occurred on Brainerd, we have to dig up every street, which means we're going to tear out the curbs and have to replace that. Now, what we kind of did as a village board and management, we decided a couple years ago, we're only going to repave streets when it comes time to do that lead service line replacement. Because when you do that, if you repave the street, you dig up the entire street, and then you're going to have a patchwork for half the road. So now that we have this very speeded up process where we have to dig up basically every street in the village of LaGrange because most of our water lines are still lead service line to the mains. We have a major project coming. We're talking multi-millions of dollars. So I think it's important that the residents understand that, yes, our street conditions are getting worse, but we're trying to come up with a plan that saves the village the most money by doing this on a very consolidated basis where we replace the water, we replace whatever sewer repair we do the curb work. And if you looked at the job that was done on Brainerd, it was a lot of curb work that had to be done on Brainerd to fix that and repair all that. So I appreciate it. Look, trust me, my street's pink. I would love to have my street repaved, but I also understand it would get torn up again. And I've got the water main in my front yard, so I'll be glad for it to wait till they dig up the entire street. So that's part of the reason for the delay, and I just hope the residents understand that we're talking in the hundreds of millions of dollars of a total replacement project, and we got to come up with the funding. But that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Thompson. Trustee Augustine.
Thank you, President Kukler. And I would just say a couple things that have been said, which is thanks again to the viewing public and to those who show up and to those who ask questions and make statements. It's very informative for us on the board to hear these things. And it's a lot more effective than social media because we're not always looking. We don't always see it. So showing up makes a big difference, and we appreciate it, even if it's not always easy to hear. It's important to hear. In particular to Mr. Brock's situation on Whale, I did want to just say that everything that's been said is accurate, but it's possible that there are some streets that have just gotten so much worse, and I'm wondering whether that's President Kukla or Mr. Davenport would answer that if we have a street that is in surface repair but really not due for the pipe, could we do something similar to what we did a few years ago to stretches of Maple, Elm, and Goodman that were really deteriorating, dangerous for kids riding their bike on, where we just scraped and did a surface. So we didn't do the curbs, we didn't do the pipes. I know it's not an ideal situation, but we found that those streets were in such difficult condition that we made that decision. So I'm wondering if there are a few streets, if we haven't done much, South 47th, that are really at a critical level, but not pipe-wise. If there's, what is our formula for justifying doing a surface-only asphalt in those situations? So I know we probably can't answer that tonight, but it is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we could use reserves. We could probably pave all the roads if that's what we wanted. So it's definitely something that the board can consider and see what's best. We were, again, as we discussed yesterday in the budget plan, we were going to bring in the consultant that was going to talk about the financing. Once the financing was in place, then we were going to bring in the engineers to talk about the different options. But if the majority of the board doesn't want to do it that way and wants to fix roads or something like that and make that the priority, we definitely can. So happy to discuss that with the board.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that we change track. I'm just suggesting that there have been occasions recently where we've decided these roads are just in such bad shape, but yet they don't need the pipes or the curbs done, but they're in bad enough condition that we've decided to do that. So I'm just saying if there's maybe a way of revisiting that in certain streets.
Sure.
We do meet those conditions, and we just need to take a fresh look.
Sure. Any other trustee comments? Trustee Gale.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to touch on two things from, again, dovetailing off of the resident comments, and also yours at the beginning about pedestrian safety. I think if there's any areas in the village where there's, signage could be better posted, stop signs, anything like that, I would encourage, the staff to, to put that signage in place, even if it's just, it's already a 25 speed limit, but there's no sign nearby, like something to just alert folks. And also, I think there was a resident that I spoke to that was interested in a stop sign at perhaps 48th and Stone. Is that the one we think? If the Public Works Department could take a look at that and see if that fits in with our with how the roads are organized. And then with respect to the road survey, I think I would just ask staff, to the extent they can push out more information about, I've had some recent resident comments, and it is truly because at this time of year, you notice the roads more than any other time. Just push out more info that we do have a plan in place, and it's, as Trustee Thompson pointed out, we've got these large scale issues we're trying to attack. So thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Gale. Seeing no other trustee comments, we will be going into closed session. The village board intends to meet in closed session under the provisions of the Illinois Open Meetings Act and Section 2C11 to discuss pending litigation. The village board will not reconvene to open session as no formal action will occur following the closed session. May I have a motion and a second to enter into closed session?
I move we enter into closed session.
Second. And to be clarified, pursuant
please.
to section 2C11 and 2C21.
Thank you. 2C11, which is pending litigation, and is 2C21 the minutes?
The closed session minutes.
2C21, which is reviewing closed meeting minutes to make sure that to determine whether they should remain closed or not public. Anyway, 2C21. With that, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move we enter into closed session based on those criteria.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Gale, Trustee O'Brien. With that, I would ask for a roll call vote.
Trustee Augustine?
Aye.
Trustee Peterson?
Aye.
Trustee Thompson?
Aye.
Trustee O'Brien?
Aye.
Trustee Gale?
Aye.
And that passes. Thank you, everybody.